Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Today's Elko Live here on KELK as we catch up on Elko City news and issues. We are in between city council meetings. There was a regular session last Tuesday, and that was, of course, on June 13th. And we are looking forward to our conversation today with members of Lee Engine Company of Volunteer Firefighters. They're an auxiliary unit of the Elko City Fire Department and a proud tradition in our community. And we're very pleased to meet with our guests today who are helping to put on the Firefighters Association Conference, which opens tomorrow and runs through this weekend through June 24th, right here in Elko. So I'm so pleased to introduce Jeff Winrod. He is the president of Lee Engine Company Volunteers, and Andrew Ostendorf is the vice president and director on the board of directors for the Nevada State Firefighters Association. So congratulations on the eve of this conference here in Elko, gentlemen. This is great news. Andrew, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Great to see you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Both of these gentlemen have other jobs that they do full-time, so being a firefighter is something that they do to give back to the community and to serve, and they do it with enthusiasm and with a lot of care. So first of all, we'll talk with you, Andrew, I think because you've been really involved, as has Jeff, obviously, but in kind of explaining what the Firefighters Association is, and then maybe we'll come back to you, Jeff, and you can tell us a little bit more about Lee Engine Company's responsibilities, if that works for you.
Yep.
So, Andrew, this is the 88th Annual Firefighters Association Conference, right?
Yes, it is.
So what kinds of things do you think firefighters have had to contend with in 88 years?
Well, as we all know, that we're very big in a tradition, but basically change always comes with it. So everything from equipment to training to gear, over the 88 years, we've seen it all. So
you have some vendors who come and exhibit at this. It's much like any kind of a conference that's tailored to a professional organization.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we will have vendors supplying or who supply equipment, whether it be PPE to Siddons Martin, who builds fire trucks throughout the nation. And some now we incorporate technology like first due responding apps and things like that. So we'll have a wide variety of vendors coming.
I remember used to be that L.N. Curtis was a big supplier.
They still are, yes.
That's another proud family tradition, right?
It is.
Yeah, certainly. So all these vendors will be set up at the conference center, and we understand that parts of, if not all of the conference, might be open to the public who's interested, Andrew?
Yes. So we have one section tomorrow, or Thursday afternoon, that is open to first responders and their families, and it's directed towards stressors and PTSD associated with first responders, and how the family can identify risk and mitigate those risks. As we all know, mental health is a big issue in a lot of first responders, military, police, things like that. So the Nevada Peer Support Network out of Reno is coming to assist us with those classes.
That is really an important topic, as you mentioned, because of the stress. And so this would be a session that's open to whether you're a family member of, say, a Nevada Highway Patrol, used to be Patrol, now State Police, or even a dispatcher.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and that's going to give a little better idea or sense of ways maybe that families can better communicate or support their emergency rescuer?
Yep. Yes, exactly. And that class will also be beginning at 1:15 on Thursday, and it'll be in the Ruby Mountain 3 room in the Elko Conference Center, which is in the back of the new building.
Oh, good. Now, is it important that people register in advance?
Not for that particular class. If you would like to attend any of the other sessions, whether it be EMS classes for continuing education or any of the firefighting classes or tactical classes, yes, you would need to be registered. You can register on nsfa.org.
Okay, so when we come back and talk to you, Andrew, we'll talk more about what the day's agenda will hold, and we'll get specific on some of those classes and courses, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to switch our attention back over to Jeff Winrod. And Jeff, I think we're just getting to know each other. We know that some fire is in your family, right? That's kind of part of the background.
It is, yep.
Yeah.
I kind of married into it as well.
Yes, and that is wonderful. And we were talking about how Lee Engine Company is an important part of the Elko City Fire Department tradition. What can you tell us about Lee Engine?
I've been fortunate to be on Lee Engine Company for quite a few years now, and we've always had great support and leadership from the Elko City Fire Department. Chief Johnston has been a major asset for us lately and gives us any assistance that we need day or night. Lee Engine Company also responds to not just emergencies within the city of Elko, but also Elko County, so Spring Creek, Carlin, Rendon, Osino, 24 hours a day, to wildland fires, house fires, etc. And then Lee Engine Company is also very big in our community. We participate in every parade. We do Shop with a Cop, Trick or Treat Street, any activities that we can participate in. We're always more than willing to be there. We do school events, so it's a very cool program, and we're actually a nonprofit organization, so it's been great.
It is another part of that family tradition, a way to give something back to the community because you're not compensated. I mean, you're well trained, right?
Right. So yes, everything we do is on our time and our own dollars. The city provides all the equipment and gear, trucks, and training that we need to successfully complete our jobs. But all the money that is raised from Lee Engine Company, whether it's through donations or calls that we respond to, all that money goes back into the community one way or another.
Now, it used to be that you had sort of your own quarters over on the south side. I don't know if you have a station there.
That station is still there. That houses, predominantly are wildland trucks and trucks that go out into the county. So we have a big water tender that the county owns over there and several brush trucks.
And we know that at some point, Jeff, there have been as many as 20 or more members of Lee Engine Company. How big are the ranks now?
So right now we're a little bit smaller. I think that we have 12 active members currently, and then we just had a group that we interviewed and are trying to bring on. And with the future goal is to have kind of open enrollment on the city's website for volunteer applications, and then as applicants apply, they would meet with the chief or talk with the chief and then kind of go through that process to eventually potentially become a member.
And it is a nice organization, very family oriented. As you mentioned, there are picnics and parades, lots of ways to participate in civic activities. But at the same time, you're looking for people who are fit and ready to respond.
Correct. And we have the opportunity to train a couple times a month and then respond to calls. And then the duty crew that's on 24 hours a day at Station 1, they're willing to help us with any additional training that they can provide us.
Mm-hmm. So again, if people are listening that are interested in Lee Engine Company of Volunteers, it can be a gateway to a career or a profession in emergency services, right, Jeff?
Completely, yes. It provides you all the training and insight for a career.
I recall that your former chief, Matt Griego, was a member of Lee Engine Company of Volunteers.
That is very true. He
Seems
was.
like yesterday, and now he's retired. So it can happen. So maybe contact either Jeff Winrod or Andrew Ostendorf with Lee Engine Company if you're interested in the association or organization itself. And this conference this week, which opens tomorrow, would be a great opportunity to see if that's a good fit, because as both gentlemen are talking about, things have changed and the fire service has evolved a lot, even in the last 20, 25 years and in the city of Elko. So we'll come back and talk to you, Jeff, about some other aspects of Lee Engine, and because you are really supportive of the fire service and some of their programs and outreach too. So we'll come back and cover some of that. And Andrew, we said we were going to go over the agenda. So tell us about what's on the agenda for the conference for the next couple of days, if you wouldn't mind.
Certainly. So tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be our pre-conference events. And so that will include a golf tournament for the members of the NSFA, and then an afternoon trap shooting. And then that night we'll be doing a meet and greet so everyone can get back together. The NSFA represents firefighters and first responders across the state of Nevada, so we don't all live together. So it's nice to be able to get back together and swap stories and see where everyone's been at over the course of the year. Thursday and Friday will be our training conference. So that Thursday we'll start with the morning with keynote sessions. We have one of the fire chiefs out of Las Vegas coming up to do an emotional intelligence class, followed by a session taught by the Nevada Peer Support Network on ways to mitigate stress. And then in the afternoon class, we'll have breakout sessions, and those breakout sessions will include a class on fighting fires associated with electrical vehicles and electrical battery packs. So we all know lithium batteries are coming in. There'll be several EMS classes. There'll be a MCI class, so mass casualty incident, and a triage class. We will have a class taught by Chief Johnston on leadership and kind of a intro to calm the chaos course. Then we will be having classes specific to fire service skills. So we'll have a rope rescue class taught by Clancy Harmon of the Elko County Fire Department. He's one of their chiefs out there on the wildland side. We will also be having Tyler Huff, who is a firefighter with the city of Elko, teaching extrication class. And then we will also be having a live burn trailer out. The state fire marshal's office is bringing their brand new fire trailer, so we'll be able to do live fire props, evolutions all day long. Medics will be assisting too. They'll be doing a landing zone class, and they are hoping to have a helicopter out too, so that way we can tie it all together.
Wow, it sounds like a lot to see and do. So with that kind of a lineup, are spectators included, would you say?
I believe so, yes. Friday would be the day that they will have most of the live fire and more activity outside. So that would be a time for the community to come out and see some firefighting in action and watch some men and women cut apart cars and things like that.
And that'll all be at the Elko Conference Center, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we were just looking over, again, talking about the mission of the Firefighters Association, probably some 88 years ago when the group was much smaller and it was predominantly male and maybe not as many families involved. But again, things have changed so much. So now the goal of the association is to really support the general welfare and safety of all firefighters, and including first responders.
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the mission of the NSFA is kind of threefold. One, to give volunteers and firefighters and first responders a voice in the legislature. The second is to provide training opportunities, which is why we're bringing the conference back to Elko. It moves around the state of Nevada to make it easily accessible to everywhere. It hasn't been in Elko since 2009, so we're very excited. And the third leg is basically to support the 4 funds that the NSFA supports to support Nevada first responders and their families. So we have a Widows and Orphans Fund, a Burn Victims Fund, a Benevolence Fund, and a Scholarship Fund. We were really particularly excited about the Scholarship Fund. That's raised over $100,000 over the years to Nevada students. We were actually very excited to give a scholarship to a young lady out of Carlin High School this year who's pursuing a career in fire sciences and going to Truckee Meadows.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is congratulations. And you do seek donations, or people can support the organization, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the conference is an opportunity for all the first responders. Again, it's like a reunion, and that you get to come together here in Elko, raising money for the funds and the scholarships that the NSFA does contribute to right back into the community. When we come back in talking with you, Andrew, maybe we could talk about some of the legislation, if there was anything pressing this year, or maybe what the group is proud to have achieved fairly recently, if you want to.
Yep.
So
we could talk a little bit about it.
that sounds good. So now we're talking with Jeff Winrod again, and of course, as president of Lee Engine Company Volunteers, we wanted to talk about how you support some of these other programs that are available in the community. Over the years, the fire department has installed and inspected car seats, for example, gone in and done free home safety inspections, and there's any myriad of safety programs.
Yeah, and so there's several certified car seat installers down at Station 1 with the on-duty crews that can ensure that a car seat gets installed exactly to manufacturer specs. And so if anybody needed that, if they contacted Station 1, they could set up a time to have that done. And then, there's been times that, smoke detectors don't work, and that's kind of part of the game, is to help citizens ensure that things are working properly. Recently, Lee Engine Company started a residential Knox box program. It's a loaner program. It's free of charge, and it's to assist those that have limited mobility or elderly or live alone that may or may not need a easier access into a home without breaking a window, breaking a door. And it's a very, very secure system that only the fire department within the city of Elko has keys to. And so we've just started that program, and we're very, very proud of it.
It sounds nice. I think we have one as a business, Elko Broadcasting Company, right?
Yeah, so every commercial business is required to have a Knox box that the fire department has access to. These ones are residential style, so they literally just hang on the top of a door. You place the home key in it, and then we put that information into the dispatch center. So in the event that a medical or any emergency came across that address, the on-duty crew knows that there's a note in the call system stating that there's a Knox box at the residence, and then they can quickly gain access.
So basically the way it used to work, and obviously we have new technologies and things, but it's sort of like the fire department has a master key to the box, and then your key would be inside that box.
That is correct. That's exactly correct. So the key, Knox box is a nationwide system, but they're keyed specifically to each jurisdiction. So Elko City's key is different than Elko County's key, so it's very, very secure.
Oh, good. And so we could just kind of give an example. If someone listening, say you have an elderly person in your family, or a family member, maybe a friend who has a disability, there might be a reason that they couldn't come to their door by themselves, and then this would enable rescuers to get to them.
Yep, that's exactly the whole idea behind the program. We were very fortunate. Knoxbox himself helped us set this up, and State Fire locally, they're a Knoxbox distributor. They actually donated several boxes to help us get going. And then we have a small application process just to kind of see the needs from each individual, and then once they're chosen, then we go out and install it and make sure that the information is communicated.
And that's a really nice service, Jeff. I think that just gives additional peace of mind to a family member, whether or not they live locally or out of state. Certainly, if people listening, you may not have ever had an emergency response to your house or your neighborhood, and it really leaves an impression on how caring and thoughtful people are, Jeff, when someone has to come to your home, whether it's an illness or an accident or even a fire.
Correct. Yes. It's typically somebody's worst day when the fire department or ambulance service has to show up. So making things a little bit easier as far as like gaining quick access into a residence and not leaving a broken door at the end of it, it just helps reduce the stress of the situation. And that's kind of our whole goal with this, is to provide the community members that could utilize it.
That's really nice to hear. So if you are interested, if someone listening, what's the best way to get in touch to find out about the Knox box?
So the best process right now currently is to either reach us out on Facebook, so City of Elko Volunteer Fire Department Lee Engine Company, or if you call down to Station 1 at 775-777-7345, they will get you in contact with us.
And obviously, if anyone listening would like to know more about some of those safety programs, having a home safety inspection, especially if there's an older person and you can't reach the batteries in your smoke detector, they don't want you climbing up on those ladders. They'll come and assist.
I believe so. We'd speak with Chief Johnston to verify, but I believe that those are definitely things that the city fire department can help with.
All right. Sounds good. When we come back, of course, we're talking with Jeff Winrod, who is president of Lee Engine Company of Volunteers, and Andrew Ostendorf is the vice president of the organization. And both they have organized the Nevada State Firefighters Association Conference, which opens Wednesday in Elko, June 21st through the 24th. So we promised when we came back to you, Andrew, we might talk about some of the legislation that the firefighters have helped to enact.
Yes. So the NSFA's most recent activity has been with the new Firefighters Memorial down in Carson City. It's a beautiful facility. There will be a dedication ceremony coming up this fall. And the other portion that I find really exciting as a member of a mine rescue team also is they've expanded this organization to also include EMS personnel and mine rescue teams. And there's work within the legislature to try to get some of these mine rescue teams as fire brigades to be state certified and roll them more into utilization through mutual aid agreements and things like that with their local communities.
We should mention that because that is on the horizon, right? This type of an expansion. This is, as we talked about, firefighters are very traditional. It used to be they were Firemen's Association, a Fireman Association or Firemen. And so this evolution has happened. And how closely all of you work together, because now we know that firefighters do medical and high water rescue and enclosed space, and there are all kinds of aspects to the fire service.
Yes, everything from firefighting to hazmat to rope rescue to swift water rescue to EMS and much more. High angle, yes. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, if you ever see a scene, you also have law enforcement at all the scenes. You have the ambulances usually right alongside these men and women too. It's kind of a joint effort anymore. And then especially on larger incidents, you could expand out into multi-agencies. So for us, it could be Elko County working with Elko City Fire. We have utilized mine rescue teams for hazmats and things like that. I know at one point Newmont's mine rescue team was used to potentially assist with a search and rescue operation up in the Ruby Mountains. It's nice knowing that you also have other resources in the community that you can draw from.
About how big would you say the organization is right now? And then with that, potentially you could probably double it.
Yeah. Yep. I would say that right now we are probably around 200 members across the state of Nevada. And it would be really cool to see additional EMS personnel and these mine rescue teams. Also, we've gotten some really good traction through Nevada Gold Mines, who I worked for, and several other like Core Rochester has expressed interest. And we had a small mining company out of Las Vegas attend the conference last year. So we are starting to get some traction and some excitement.
And you're having about 200, almost 200 have registered for this conference, right?
We have about 150 right now, and then probably another 30 from the vendor side.
Oh, that's great. And then their families often come?
Yes.
So this is going to be a nice little economic bump for Elko as well.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, well, we sure appreciate the chance to talk about the significance of the Nevada State Firefighters Association and the importance. And I think if it's okay to talk to both of you, both Jeff and Andrew, because you've had experiences with the stress that goes along with whether you're a volunteer, you respond to the same kind of emergencies as, I don't know, do they still refer to them as professional or full-time firefighters? Or, because,
Yep.
I think that's professional.
Yeah. I mean, not that I remembered, as a volunteer, it always was like, well, we do get a lot of the same training. So you conduct yourselves as professionals, the entire organization. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really important, but yes. So, but that kind of stress, I mean, that's why the class that we talked about that's open to the community, 1:15 on Thursday at the Elko Conference Center, that'll be taught by someone visiting,
yes.
Right?
So her name is Heather Haslam. She's a member of the Nevada Peer Support Network, which focuses on mental health for first responders across the state.
So, Andrew, when maybe with both of you and Jeff, again, the evolution of the fire service, it used to be that whether you were a police officer or a firefighter or any kind of emergency rescue, or you worked in the emergency room, people kept all that stress and tension inside, right? I mean, it was kind of like you got to toughen up, right?
And that stigma has started to change in the last few decades. Thankfully, it has always been traditionally you bottle it up and you put it in a box and you never look at it again as best as possible. And it rears its head in very ugly ways, whether it be with your relationships with your family, your significant others, or with your coworkers. And now it's more accepted that this is a mental health issue and it needs to be talked about. And it is a growing issue amongst military, first responders, and medical professions, especially in the last few years since COVID and things like that.
It's really good to hear that. It's nice. And obviously you know what that's like in families, right, Jeff?
Correct. And then kind of to copy Andrew is that the old adage of, keeping it bottled inside, we've seen from several different aspects the devastating outcomes that results from not expressing your feelings or your thoughts. And there's major studies that have been occurring to kind of find out where the problem lies at. And so hopefully this class will give the resources to community members to assist their loved ones.
And you know, Jeff, when you lose a family member, your sister-in-law was a flight nurse. It's important the community comes together, right? That we can all help each other.
Yes, that is the one thing about Elko is they're a very supportive, close-knit community, and anytime there is tragedy, they band together, and that's what makes this town special. So we're fortunate to be able to give back to the community with participating with Lee Engine Company and volunteering our time. So just kind of trying to full circle everything.
Yeah, it's really nice. And remembering that these professionals, whether volunteers or working full-time, they have dedicated themselves with passion and pride and the care of going into a very risky, hazardous situation, very dangerous situation. There are many more threats than there used to be, right? I mean, especially when you're dealing with people with mental illness, for example. So these are all considerations, but it's an opportunity to thank you, Jeff, really. Yes.
Thank you for having us. And one other thing is our community was very supportive in the planning and donations and assistance with this Nevada State Firefighters Association conference. So words can't express what the community has done.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, the outpouring of support, whether it be financial or gifts for the auction to raise money for our 4 funds, we can't thank them enough.
Oh, that's great. So obviously, if anyone listening would like to continue contributing, or if you're a first-time contributor, the City of Elko Fire Department Auxiliary Lee Engine Company of Volunteers, they are hosting the Nevada State Firefighters Association, the big conference in Elko with about 150 registrants so far. And of course, it's not too late to sign up, right?
Nope. You can sign up right up until the morning of.
Okay, and we should mention too that Nevada Gold Mines is your employer, and so they've been very generous in lending your efforts to this.
Yes, so they supported this conference financially, and then they are also sending several members from their mine rescue teams. And yeah, so my full-time job is I'm an environmental specialist out at Carlin, focusing on enclosure and reclamation, and NGM has always been very supportive of their mine rescue members and their employees. Supporting the community in various ways. So it's always been amazing to be able to participate in these types of organizations through them.
And it keeps you connected to the community as well.
Exactly.
So we appreciate what you do professionally. And then Jeff, we were just talking about how important it is that you've been able to care firsthand for your family for the last several months.
Yes, so I was fortunate enough that I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last year. And I was able to take my kids to school, participate in a bunch of school activities, and focus a little bit more time on Nevada State Firefighters Association Conference and the Knox Box program.
Yep, and even if you get up in the middle of the night to go to, a fire or any kind of situation, you still have to get up and get the kids ready for school, right?
That is correct. Yep. School start time doesn't change.
That's right. So again, many thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to the City of Elko. We had Chief Johnston on last week, Tuesday. The fire department's just going in a great direction, and we wish everybody the very best, and we'll look forward to this conference this week. Is there anything, Jeff, that I didn't ask you about, and I'll ask you the same question, Andrew, maybe that I didn't get you were hoping to add?
I don't believe so. This has been an honor to have you talk with us about this conference and Lee Engine Company in general. We're very proud of Lee Engine Company and the efforts that is put into the community by its membership. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff Winrod, President of Lee Engine Company, the volunteers, the auxiliary of the City of Elko Fire Department. Andrew, did we get to your topics today?
Yes, you did. I just want to say how, as an organization, it's really neat to see how the NSFA represents Nevadans, and also very heavily in rural Nevada, which is an underrepresented aspect of our state. And it's really nice that the funds, I've seen how they impacted communities locally amongst us, and like I've seen money for burn victims go out to firefighters who have had incidents out here, and also the scholarship. So it's neat to actually see how that money impacts lives.
That benevolence is important going forward. So if you are a civic group or a business leader in the community, or just maybe an individual, if you're retired and you want to contribute to a good cause, this is certainly one. And the leadership of this organization is in great hands with both of you gentlemen. So thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being on the radio show today. Andrew Ostendorf is Vice President of Lee Engine Company Volunteers, alongside President Jeff Winrod. Our guest today, remember the Nevada State Firefighters Association 88th year conference opens Wednesday. That's tomorrow, right here in Elko at the Elko Conference Center. Visit online to find out more about the agenda, and it's not too late to register or to take advantage of Thursday's free class to help support all those emergency rescuers in our community. That'll be at 1:15 at the Elko Conference Center. Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us today.